Doctor Who is back, and isn't that wonderful? What I thought was so completely astounding about the Star Beast was just how effectively Russell T Davies crafted a solid hour of sci-fi television. Because, well, making television is difficult. Doctor Who especially. As the years have dragged on for the show, we've tended to get less and less just plainly good episodes. As we reached the dregs of Moffat's era where quality would swing wildly between episodes, and especially as we moved into Chibnall's era where a solid episode was considered an absolute miracle. But hey, I'm going to try to stay positive, which means minimal Chibnall discourse. However, Chibnall's run works as such a perfect contrast for why the Star Beast is such a great return to form. I've been especially optimistic about this new era of Doctor Who, mainly because Russell T Davies is an incredible writer. Regardless, I'll admit some trepidation, as even with all the factors we knew, indicating the show would be at least okay, who knew in practice if it would all work? It is almost shocking to be here now and to be able to say, yeah, they pulled it off and made it look easy. The Star Beast could have gone way bigger for an anniversary episode with all the self-indulgence of what you'd expect from a Moffat script. And here's RTD being like, no, let's just make a good hour of television, nothing too crazy. Ease the audience back in and remind them what makes storytelling great. Characters, heart, setups, payoffs, and comedy! On top of all of this, and perhaps the greatest element of the episode, is the incredible production design. It is truly an achievement in this day and age that sci-fi television is looking this good with practical VFX. I mean, Marvel is burning money for shows that look like CGI slop. Okay, for starters, I'm not recapping the episode, so watch it. Also, this is Doctor Who, so I'm going to jump all wibbly-wobbly over the place discussing the episode. Firstly though, do I think The Star Beast is a perfect 10 out of 10 episode of television? No, I've got some minor critiques here and there, but compared to the fundamental faults that are omnipresent with, let's say, Loki Season 2 or Chibnall's era, it's easy to look past these minor issues because, well, Doctor Who is so back! Doctor Who is a show with 60 years of baggage that's just left a particularly rough era where much of the audience checked out. RTD quite cleverly avoids most of that baggage with the Star Beast. In fact, we don't even get an answer for why David Tennant has returned as the 14th Doctor and what's going on with the soon-to-be-here 15th. What we do get is a tremendously fun episode that tells a mostly contained story that anyone from hardcore fan to newcomer can understand and enjoy. Now, was I maybe expecting slightly more overall Doctor Who lore, set up for the new era, and general 60th celebration? Yeah, but we've still got 2 more hours of television to go. If this is the standard of quality they're setting, I think we're gonna be in safe hands. The episode begins with this excellent introduction where Tennant's Doctor is just happy to be back on Earth. The Doctor tries to help a random stranger and BOOM! There's Donna. Just like that, our story has started. And it's funny and acted well, and we learn new information about Donna and her daughter Rose. And before even that conversation has ended, BOOM! A spaceship crashes over London, and there's our plot. starting just like that. We're not around here. This is fantastic, effective storytelling. And the plot and story is already interweaved, with Donna missing another crazy event and the Doctor off to find the crashing ship. It moves almost naturally into the Doctor meeting Donna's husband Sean, and here in this cab ride, the audience can be clued into some details that maybe have slipped the mind if you don't have an insane hard drive memory of a television show 10 seasons ago. We also learn almost uncharacteristically that Donna gave away all of her lotto money, which makes sense if you're bringing the Noble family back, but doesn't make sense for Donna. Luckily, unlike a Chibnall script, this is a major plot point that is throughout the episode. The Doctor arrives at the crash landing site of a steelworks and breaks in. I love a scene like this. It's so simple, but adds just that little bit more of continuity in the storytelling. In a Chibnall episode, the Doctor would just be at the steelworks. There probably wouldn't even be a cab ride. The scene would just end and then the Doctor would be at the next location. Later in the episode, when the Doctor needs to follow the conflict out of the steelworks, we get another scene like this. The Doctor sonics down the tailgate and jumps in. It's fun and gives us a plausible way for the Doctor to arrive at Donna's house, with this gentle, triumphant return of one of the 10th Doctor's musical motifs in the score. It's so good! This is a part of what makes great storytelling, the details, and these simple, small moments. Like the Doctor smacking his head when the car pulls up. You don't realise how important they are until they're gone. On top of all of this, the supposed crashing ship landed perfectly. And there is an actual explanation for this in the text, explained by the characters in a reasonable fashion. It was crashing and damaged. It made a last-minute adjustment to land here. We find out later that's to repair the damage, which is why it's in a steelworks. Brilliant! We head back to the Nobles and Rose gets catcalled by some other kids.
Alright, looking good, Jason. Well, give us a kiss, Joe boy.
Get them.
It's quick, but gives us some insight into the character. Rose mostly ignores it, and Donna immediately moves to fiercely defend her daughter. Additionally, the scene starts introducing some of our themes of the episode, of self-expression and the fluidity of gender, which, as you might guess, is relevant to the Doctor's own situation of being Jodie Whittaker about an hour ago. We get another conversation just a bit later with Donna's mum, hopefully cluing the audience into the fact that Donna's daughter is trans. It's all naturally introduced, and that's important, especially for telling a story where these ideas will become a part of the plot, as well as being just as imperative to the emotional aspects of the story. Rose gets pulled towards the alien escape pod by the first bad aspect of this episode. This kid is bad. His lines aren't great and, you know, child acting.
Off like an escape pod with aliens inside, on the loose, right on our doorstep.
Nothing worse
In
than
March.
kids trying to act.
In my opinion, easily the worst aspect of the episode. Not helped by the fact that the kid shows up several more times as a stand-in for Innocent Life in London, which, if you've been to London, you'd know there's no innocent life. The kid is hardly an egregious issue, so let's move on as this kid leads us to one of the best aspects of the episode. Meep the mother flippin' beep! Rose finds and helps this seemingly innocent, furry little critter called the Meep. And frankly, I need to talk about the Meep because, well, What an absolute achievement. The Meep looks so unbelievably good. Having watched the behind the scenes and seeing the amount of effort that went into making the Meep look real is unreal. It takes like 6 people to run this puppet, and adding to this, CGI is tastefully used to make the Meep seem more natural. In the early stages of the episode, the Meep is just lovable. There's something about its eyes and the way it's kind of slouched over that just melts the heart. Now, I am aware of the plot of the original comic, so it wasn't a massive surprise, but still riveting when Meep suddenly pulled out a gun and shot some space cops. Oh my god. What a fantastic sentence. Hey, only in Doctor Who. Evil Meep is terrifying. The change in stature and look is perfect. Don't even get me started when Meep got carried out on a freaking Iron Throne. The amount of work that went into making the Meep a reality is commendable. It looks so much better than any purely CGI creature. A full-budget $200 million film would struggle to have a creature look this good. In fact, what am I even talking about? The Meep isn't the only thing that looks great. Where do I even start? Rachel Talley returning to direct another brilliant episode? The costumes, the lighting, the mix of practical effects with CGI, all to propel the look of the episode. Like the spaceship, where they built the bottom section that characters interact with and extended everything else with CGI. The RAF warriors, having these performers on stilts that can hardly see outside the suits. All of this comes together in the street battle in the middle of the episode, where you have the RAF fighting the mind-controlled soldiers, and then the real unit showing up in a freeway battle that looks fantastic. Meanwhile, the Doctor and the gang sneak through the house to avoid the conflict. While this sequence may just be another standard gunfight, missing a distinct internal narrative with twists and turns, it's easy to forget that when it looks this good. The Doctor's new sonic shield provided a new interest in power that isn't an easy fix-all. In fact, the behind the scenes showcases how they used plexiglass with paintball guns that have these little pellets that spark when they hit a surface to achieve this brilliant effect. I especially loved the real room in the spaceship with all the flashing buttons. It's all awesome filmmaking and production design. I'd love to keep talking about it, but I'm trying to keep the video shorter, and it's not like it's just the visuals. The general sound design was really nice, even the cheesy spring when Meep is defeated is funny. But what I really want to talk about is the score, and the return of beautiful orchestral pieces. Murray Gold is back, gently weaving the previous Doctor Who musical motifs back into the music. Every time I'd recognize a classic musical motif, I'd get goosebumps. When Donna's theme re-entered the score, it was fantastic. Those notes that triggered that recognition in my brain. The occasional tune from the 10th Doctor's run, and especially stand out, was the moment where Donna got her memories back and Smith's I Am the Doctor re-emerged into the score.
Oh, I'll show you destruction, mate. I will triple drive the particle manifesto, overstep the umbilical feed.
It's great. I can't wait to see what Murray Gold has cooking for future episodes. Not to mention the revamped theme tune is perfect. Let's wrap this up with the resolution and the episode's themes. if one element was especially missing from Chibnall's run, it would be heart, subtext, and themes. It's wonderful to have some actual emotion come back into the show, with characters you can understand and relate to. The one thing the Doctor doesn't want to do is bring Donna's memories back and potentially kill her. Ultimately, as it is with any good story, the Doctor has to bring Donna's memories back to save the day. That is, to stop the Meep, who's a murderous dick and wants to blow up London with their spaceship. The ground falling away in London just works better for me. We have way more context, and it's not quite as ridiculous as the Daleks blowing up every single volcano in the world, Chibnall. There's this great payoff where true Donna arrives and can't believe she gave away all of that lotto money, and it's because the Doctor part of her brain seeped through. It's appropriate and funny. It's appropriately funny. When we do arrive at the twist that Rose has half of the Metacrisis Time Lord powers, it works, for all the reasons and themes I presented earlier. Here, they are brought straight into the plot and resolution of the episode. It's really good. I love this. It brings these trans ideas gracefully into the show. It relates to the Doctor's own struggle of regeneration and just switching from female to male. Furthermore, by picking their own name. It's beautifully subtle and has a nice chunk of nuance. It's not about what you are, finally it's about who you are. In your heart. And that self-acceptance allows Rose to help save the day. The Doctor, the hero, can be anyone. It's a real standard hero convention. But it's especially contemporary here.
Homophobia and transphobia happens when it's something you've never seen before. You can temper that reaction and change it if you introduce these images to people happily and normally and calmly when they're young. Then it just becomes normal. It is normal. I don't need to say it's normal.
Having themes and ideas as progressive as this works in this episode of television because before the reveal, it's weaved throughout the story and plot. Subtly. It's why in Chibnall's episodes, the messages, regardless of if I agreed with them, felt so intrusive. Here, it's natural to the story. To be slightly critical, I wish we got to learn more about Rose as a character. She has very little narrative agency in the story, doing fairly little until the resolution, and we tend to learn the most about Rose from the people around her. Rose does actively try to save the Meep and makes money for her parents, and while I love the themes and subtext of the resolution, I'll admit the actual character needed more screen time. If I was to rub up against one other part of the episode, it's the hand-waving away of the meta-crisis consequences. The whole scene has this feeling of, yay, girl power, while missing any of the subtlety or nuance that I felt worked so well in the trans themes of the twist. I feel it would have worked better to have Donna accept that the Doctor is no longer the most important person in her life. She has her daughter and family. Donna could let go of her powers and finally accept she has something better to live for. But, truth be told, my opinion especially doesn't matter on these topics. This is hardly a large gripe. The following scene of the new TARDIS interior is incredible. It looks amazing. I love the return to that white with the RGB circles. I can't wait to see it in action. Tennant's running around like a gleeful child, and of course Donna spills some coffee and everything goes bonkers. Let's wrap this video up. This is an episode of Doctor Who that reminds you what was so good about RTD's first era. If the show doesn't have heart or character, then no amount of plot revelation or clever writing will ever hold up to a story that has human emotions. There's so much more I wanted to talk about, like the courtroom sequence, especially this moment with Tennant's acting, or Tennant's especially physical performance, running around, climbing and sliding under doors. The mention of Wilf, which might be among my favourite moments, especially when they convince Sylvia to let them see Wilf. Alas, I tried to keep these videos concise. Next week's episode, The Wild Blue Yonder, is the wildcard episode of these 60th specials. We know next to nothing about the episode. I think we should get ready for anything, and I suspect the light-hearted fun may start to fade away. Finally, before I go, I want to quickly address something close to my heart. It's slightly spoilery, I'll be very careful not to reveal anything, but if you want to quickly skip the next few sentences, timecode on screen now. Now, unfortunately, there's some pretty major leaks involving a certain twist towards the end of the specials. I'm not gonna say what it is here, if you know, you know, but it's Timeless Child-esque, and frankly, the current fan response I've seen is pretty horrible, especially for something we're not sure will happen, that we haven't seen happen yet, that we don't even know the context for.
There's no rules. You can do absolutely everything you want. I can't hear people complain, there'll be fans complaining about that. You can't do that. Every time someone says you can't do that, that's exactly where you should go.
I just think fan bases have an especially toxic way of ruining good things for themselves. Like, it's been a rough few years for Doctor Who fans, and now at least I have got exactly what I wanted and more. And it's great, whatever direction the creative team choose to take it. I'm here for it. But guys, maybe it's time to stop self-sabotaging and maybe just shut the up. Trust me, I know the irony of me saying this at the end of a probably 20-minute long review featuring just me. Maybe it is time for me to stop talking, regardless of whether it's sincere or from a place of love. I turned 24 this week. Maybe it is time for me to just shut up, enjoy Doctor Who, and move on with my life. This is the end. Well, not quite yet. We've got 2 more weeks. Much love.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe.
Everything's got to end sometime, otherwise nothing would ever get stopped.